Hey there. Ever have piles of material laying around and you wonder what the heck to do with it all? Dan Hartman here, Sackville, New Brunswick, with another shop improvement video. Now we got these bins that are made to stack. We got enough clearance under here to be able to put a pump cart, and we can also move them around with the forklift. So, that being said, originally these red racks were built to nest three underneath the roller for the bandsaw. Now, I've come to putting over-length material in there, and say if it's all tubes or pieces that are easy to put hooks in the end with the crane, it's easy to put these on the pump truck, go underneath here, underneath the beam. Unfortunately, we're not at the point of having an overhead crane throughout the whole shop, but the whole idea is if you're putting chains on there and there, you can just pick that piece out. So what we did when we built these, we lined them with strips of wood, which is especially important on, let me show you here. We have this one back here with all the aluminum in it. Now the aluminum is that much more susceptible to ending up with, you don't want to have paint rubbing off on the aluminum because that's a material we're not going to paint. We're not going to want to do a lot of finishing on, and we want to protect the finish from when it's been extruded as much as possible. So that's that. This is a whole pile of material here for some additional racking stuff we're working on, and it's got to get cut to size yet. And we've got long material here. That's a temporary thing. That is, as you can see, if you're coming in the door here, trying to slide that material down in there, and the wall is on a taper, so it's a real pain to pick up. Man, not the most inspiring scene for working. Now, the other thing we're working on for racking, you can see this plate used to be stored underneath there, and there was a box with all the TIG welding rod, which just got moved. So that's a big improvement because we're going to add a couple more beams down low. We're still going to leave it so we can wheel any sheet. We don't deal with sheet here, but sometimes it's just a piece laying around that needs to be stored. Like we've got these few pieces of old 16 gauge that were just too good to throw out. They'll get used up. We got some shop projects to work on. We usually try and get the sheet coming in all cut to size and formed with whatever plasma cutting needs to be done, so we're not transporting it because we don't have a setup for working on sheet here. So anyhow, a little bit of storage for sheet goods, we do have them, and then maybe 2 beams yet, and then kind of the same thing here. All this, you can see there's no material much longer than 3 feet long in this rack. Some pieces we did vertical, that's still got to get fixed up. This is all messy here, that'll get reorganized. And then we used some shelf drawers over here. So we got some stuff like, we got a heavier plate there, and this one here is all 1/2 inch mild steel. Wait for it to focus, oh yeah. And then this one's 3/8 and quarter and so on. And then some of them we have stuff like aluminum, so we have tube in the front and a lot of blocks in the back. That's really just a sloppy mishmash, but at least the drawer keeps things a little more contained. And then we have stuff like this row here is a lot of stainless steel, and then we have aluminum from there over. And it's nice keeping the aluminum up high because it's light, the stainless steel. A lot of those sizes we don't use too often, so even having them high up, it's not as big a deal. And then things that we're using more often or more eyesight if we're looking through them, or if they're heavier, we keep that stuff down low. And this is also where longer stuff can fit because the walls are sloped for some reason in here. I don't know if the building's falling down or what, but this is what we got for now, and lots of other little projects on the go. So this is a mini rack, I believe is the name. It used to be made by a company called AAA, and when AAA went out of business, someone else started making this mini rack, and there's apparently all kinds of different variations of this stuff. But I learned something. It's got this keystone shape. So there's different identifiers for different kinds of racking. This one's handy because it's fairly compact. We wouldn't want to go too much higher up here in the shop because that would move the rack back into the building more. So these will be good in the future when hopefully we have some mezzanines in a future shop. So they'll fit under a mezzanine or on top of a mezzanine and just be a nice compact storage option that's a good human scale thing. Yeah, so that's some shop improvements for lately. I tell you, it's been a long time since I made one of these videos. I really missed this process. And sometimes life can really feel like it gets crazy. So maybe that will be the next video. Oh yeah, other little stuff that's happened. Up there, there's some conduit that's been run over to that box there. That wires up an outside light that doesn't really function that well. But the light switch used to have to come in the door. The light switch there was a boxed in room over here before there was that disconnect. There was a transformer, there were all the breaker panels, and it was a chaotic mess over there. And in a place like this where there's limited floor space, well, you can see what we did. Moved the transformers back there, and that space that would never get used. And then we've got a 600 breaker panel, and then a 208 three-phase 220, 120 panel back in there. So anyhow, used to have to come in, the light switch for this shop and for the outside light were over there. So it's always a pain. And the other thing with having the light switches close to the overhead door, it also tempts people to walk under the overhead door, which is a huge taboo. You don't want to walk under a big guillotine of a door because that thing's heavy and it'll chop you apart if it ever comes down. There's only some cables holding it up. It's an old door. You can see it's all rusty. Probably not the most well-maintained thing in terms of someone put a used door in this shop. Nothing to do with me, but other than I happen to be here right now. So, yeah, so that's a big improvement, having the light switches there. And then when we rewired, we put the light switch, so that lights up, that's that bank of lights there. And then this bank of lights here, and all the lights at the back, there's a light switch near the rear door. So if the lock's messed up, if it's snowy at one door, or there's a big snow drift at one spot and not at the other, it's easy to come in, no matter what door you come in at, you can turn on the lights. And I mean, in the day and age where we all have cell phone, flashlights, not as big a deal. But if you're in one of those shops where you gotta trip around in the dark and you got stuff laying around, or someone forgets and leaves an extension cord somewhere where it's a tripping hazard, it's just any little bit that makes it easy. And there, you can open that door and hit the light switch with your elbow if you had your hands full, because it's right there in good accessible location. So anyhow, that's probably about it for today as far as shop improvements. You can see this place is looking somewhat neater than it has at other times if I happen to pan the camera around that much. So I'm feeling proud of that. And yeah, there's been a lot of people who have helped out to get this place to the point it's at now, and forever grateful for that, and forever grateful for everyone watching this right now.